My name is David Lemke. I am an English PhD candidate in the English department here at the University of Minnesota, and I'm studying African American utopian literature and reparations around the Civil War, with a particular interest in how utopian literature can help us reconsider the issue of reparations and make powerful arguments from a humanistic perspective for reparations today. Yeah, so the Interdisciplinary Doctoral Fellowship is an opportunity to be partnered with a mentor from another discipline, someone who can help expand the interdisciplinary connections of my work, and especially because I'm bridging literature and politics and economics, I thought my project was a really good fit. My mentor is Karen Ho, who's a professor in anthropology here at the U of M. And her work is on financial anthropology, so a lot of her work on rethinking what we mean when we talk about economics, what an economy is, some of the ways in which markets are not just constructed by numbers and figures, but also by language and discourse, has been really important to my own work. Here at IAS, it's been an amazing opportunity to be with a lot of other people who are thinking about race, are thinking about land, thinking about literature, and coming at it from a variety of different disciplines. So it's been a really valuable experience to see just the way that different people in different corners of the university are talking about the same topics, and it's been really generative for me. My project looks at the core at the issue of reparations for slavery, which is the idea that slavery and the sort of repression that comes after it, so Jim Crow, segregation, some people even extend it into things like subprime mortgages today, have had a really negative effect on Black people in the United States and have led to really wide inequalities in wealth. And my project is interested in what literature can help us understand about those inequalities and how it can help us imagine ways to overcome them. In particular, I'm looking at African American utopian literature, which are texts that imagine a sort of separate society, construct rules for that society, construct separate societies, both within and without the United States. So there's some that imagine a kind of Black revolutionary cell taking over Texas as a possible foundation for Black life. There's another Black empire that imagines a sort of Black super genius who starts this Black international organization that then goes and colonizes Africa. So they're texts that are kind of fantastical, have a really powerful imagination about alternative ways of living, alternative kinds of societies, and thinking about how those texts can help us think about economics and politics, which are really important topics, but ones that I think too often get treated separately from literature, philosophy, other kind of arts, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think we all have hopes that our work will go beyond the university and do something valuable in that space. I'm writing about reparations, so that's a political process that is ongoing. There are discussions about that. In part, Ta-Nehisi Coates' article in The Atlantic in 2014, I think, revitalized the discussion about reparations. If I, in a utopian way, if my project was to contribute anything about that, it's to emphasize that as much as we need to recognize that reparations are necessary, that historical injustice continues to be present today, we also need to be imaginative and creative about what those solutions look like. And that's what utopian literature brings, is individuals in literature and art and politics envisioning and enacting versions of a better life. And I think that's a really important component of our work against inequality, is not just noting it, not just decrying it, but saying, how can we fix this? What's our imagination about making it better? I think in terms of books to read, there's a lot of fascinating ones. I have it in here, but it's called Black Empire. It's a really unusual text. It's one of the first full-fledged African American utopian texts. Again, about this black scientist super genius who organizes a group called the Black International. And they are a sleeper cell within the United States that eventually takes over a number of ships, goes to Africa, and starts a revolution, starts essentially a black colonial state. It's a satire of Marcus Garvey and some of the Back to Africa movements, but it's also thinking about really concretely what a black society in Africa would be. It's set in the 1930s, so there's intrigue with what's happening in Europe. He imagines that this black sleeper cell sends spies up into Europe to start something like World War II to keep the European powers out of Africa. And it's a fascinating text. It's really inventive. He has all these ideas for scientific solutions to economic problems for the society. These love temples filled with televisions that keep some of the poor people in place, keep them happy with the society as is. And I think if you're interested in utopianism, if you're interested in science fiction, this is a text that you've probably never heard of before, and yet is a really approachable read, interesting, and a fascinating imagination about what a black state might look like.